Hello, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you doing?
Good. It's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you as well.
Thank you for meeting up with me today. So before we start, I just want to explain that today I'll be asking some questions about your safety and how you've been feeling emotionally. Some of these questions do include thoughts about suicide, and I ask everybody these questions when there is concern about like distress and safety, because your safety is really important to us. Some of these things we talk about are confidential, but if I'm worried about your immediate safety, I may have to involve additional support to keep you safe. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So how have things been going for you lately?
Things have been going okay. Kind of like what I was telling my therapist. She just, was just asking about school, and school's been, okay. It's my first semester, and it's kind of coming to a close, so I'm just kind of getting acclimated to, being at school and being away from home, and trying to balance that along with work and, social life, and it's just very overwhelming to me.
Gotcha. That sounds really heavy. Thank you for sharing that with me, first of all. When people feel this overwhelmed, sometimes they have thoughts about, wanting to escape or just not wake up at all. I want to check in about that directly with you. So have you had any thoughts about wanting to die or not wake up at all?
Yes.
Okay. Have you had thoughts about hurting yourself or ending your life?
Not necessarily like, self-harm, but mainly just like feeling as though, like, when I go to sleep at night, I don't really want to wake up the next morning.
I gotcha. Have you made any plans or taken any steps toward hurting yourself at all in the past?
No, ma'am.
Okay. On a scale from 0 to 10, how strong are those thoughts right now?
Right now, I would say probably about like a 3. Like, they're not really, like, they're there, but they're not like, it's mainly just like if I know I have a big presentation the next day and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Just like the anxiety from that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I also want to understand, what supports you may have or have currently. So who do you usually turn to when things get difficult?
I would say probably my sister. Just like I have a twin sister, so she, we both have just kind of been there for each other throughout a couple things, and so being able to like have somebody that, was kind of like a friend for life, she is just kind of the person that I go to for support. And like, whenever I have those thoughts, so to speak, it's like one of the main things in my mind that I'm thinking about is like how she would feel like if I was gone, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. So what has helped you get through hard times before?
Like I said, just making sure that I surround myself with my family, I guess, just because like being there with my sister and like my little brother and like my parents, it just kind of makes me feel a little more loved and just, less alone, I guess. But because being in college, it's like kind of hard to go visit them as much as I want. It's just
right. What are some reasons you've held on even when things felt really painful?
Mainly just, like I was saying, my family. So it's like, I don't want to leave them, and just like thinking about what would happen, like if they like lost me, just thinking about that does make me kind of sad and kind of like pulls me back from the ledge, I guess. So just like metaphorically speaking.
Right. Are there any recent losses or big life transitions other than starting college?
No, not really. Just, I moved out, so it's like I was so used to being like at home and like always having my family around. So like moving out and not having them, you know, living in a dorm is not the best, and like being in such close quarters with somebody that I've never met before is also kind of stressful.
Yeah, kind of strange, right?
Yeah.
A lot different.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it sounds like you know you have these supports, and I'm glad you acknowledge that your family makes you feel better. That is a really good first step.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, do you feel able to keep yourself safe today?
Yes,
Yes.
I do.
Okay. If those thoughts got stronger tonight, what do you think you would do?
Probably just kind of watch YouTube videos, like they kind of, or just like maybe like play a game on my phone. It kind of just keeps my mind off of whatever I'm worried about right then and there, and like, or listen to music, especially like when I'm going to sleep. Sometimes I'll listen to like an audiobook before bed, and it just kind of keeps my mind focused on like listening to the book as opposed to like letting my thoughts run wild before I go to sleep. So it's kind of helpful in that sense.
Gotcha. So let's put together a short safety plan just to make sure you have support in these scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some warning signs you notice when things start getting worse for you?
I mean, I would just say like the anxiety starts to get pretty bad, and then like it's not necessarily like shaking, it's more of just like I can feel my heart beating really fast, and like I can kind of like it just my mind's just going like a million miles a second, and I'm like overthinking things, I'm getting super anxious, and then that's when it's like, you know, if I was asleep right now, none of this would be happening. If I was always asleep, like I wouldn't have to deal with any of this. So I would say mainly just like the spike in anxiety is what kind of gets the ball rolling with that.
Gotcha. What are a few coping strategies you can try on your own to kind of calm yourself down?
I've been trying, and it's been, you know, somewhat successful. The box breathing technique, you know, where it's like the box. That's been pretty helpful, and just kind of making sure that I, you know, I'm focused on other things, I guess. So like YouTube videos or music along with the box breathing is very helpful.
So other than your family, who would you say you can contact for support?
Probably a couple of my friends. You know, we all are like in the same college. It's just we all have different dorms. Like we weren't able to all get the same dorm, so it's I know they're there, and I know that they're close, so I can always just go visit or, you know, give them a call. So that is kind of something else that I can rely on.
That's good. Would you be open to removing or securing anything that could be used to harm yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And if things feel unsafe, you can always call or text 988 or go to the nearest ER or contact, you know, your support people, your family, your friends.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I really appreciate your honesty today. And I know these conversations can be kind of hard or just a little uncomfortable. But based on what you shared, I think, you know, these are some really good first steps in creating, you know, a safety plan. You listed your warning signs. You know those warning signs. You have coping strategies. You have support.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those are all really good steps toward, you know, the right direction.
Thank you.
Of course, yeah. So I'll see you next time. Thank you very much for meeting today.
Thank you. I knew she was about to do